With you, Selena. I also want to mention just here quickly that we do have word here from the White House, again, confirmation from the White House that President Biden has tested positive for COVID. We have a statement here from Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre saying that he tested positive for COVID. He is vaccinated and boosted and is experiencing mild symptoms, she says. She went on to say he will be returning to Delaware, where he will self-isolate and will continue to carry out all of his duties fully during that time, and noting that they will provide regular updates. And Selena, again, I know that you're reaching out to your sources there in the White House as well for more information on that. But in terms of Democratic support for this president right now, who is just trying to keep his campaign alive, trying to stay at the top of this ticket. And we have top Democrats either calling for him to pass the torch or, Selena, top Democrats saying, let's delay this official roll call nomination for him.
Yeah, Kayna, I mean, this day just keeps on getting tougher for the president. Today, you had Adam Schiff, who is one of the most prominent Democrats, publicly calling for President Biden to step aside. We've been talking about this all day. It's a huge deal because he is a longtime ally of President Biden. He's also very close to former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. He is calling on President Biden to pass on the torch. Now, President Biden was asked about this by a reporter earlier today about these calls from Adam Schiff. The president did not comment on that. And the big question now is, does this open the floodgates for even more prominent Democrats to come out and ask for the president to step aside? This is a time when the president needs to be fielding calls. He needs to be shoring up support. So it is a hamper on all of that. The fact that he needs to isolate and recover right now. But as you just said in that statement, the president is vaccinated. We hope he has a speedy recovery time. But really, this day just could not get any harder for the president.
Certainly. Selena, also sharing with everyone in this statement from the White House, there's also a note in it as well from the president's doctor, and it's saying here that the president presented this afternoon with some upper respiratory symptoms, runny nose, a cough that wasn't productive. They're saying that he felt okay for his first event of the day, and then they said he wasn't feeling better, so they tested him and he was positive for COVID, again reiterating that he will be self-isolating. They also say that the president has received his first dose of Paxlovid and again will be self-isolating at his home in Rehoboth. I want to check in here with Jay O'Brien, who's down there on the floor of the Republican National Convention. Look, the campaign trail is hard for anyone, but Joe Biden, again, under a microscope right now. He is aging. It is a concern for many Americans, and after that disastrous debate, every misstep is really analyzed by the American people. And Jay, now for him to miss this speech today, again, to hit critical voting block for him because he has COVID. What is that like here for lawmakers to try to react to something like that?
You know, I wouldn't necessarily think it's going to have any long-term impact on this campaign, Kayna. The thing I would tell you is this. Firstly, obviously it comes in a very critical news environment for the president. There is, as Selena just noted, kind of this question as to whether or not there will be this opening of floodgates again of Democrats calling for him to no longer be the nominee because they don't think that he can win in November, partly because of his debate performance and then partly because of how Democrats, some of them disagree with the way the White House has handled the fallout from that debate performance. Adam Schiff was notable today, for instance, as Selena pointed out, significant Nancy Pelosi ally, so a lot of eyes on Nancy Pelosi to hear what she will do. The president had a call this weekend, we know from sources, with multiple groups of House Democrats, and at least one of those calls got very heated when a member asked him if his age was a national security issue, and I'm told from sources on that call that the president pushed back strongly against that, got defensive, one source characterized it as. All of that to say that this is just another element of that tick, tick, tick of news environment for Joe Biden and things not necessarily going his way in terms of the Democratic Party. Now, there was this move, as Selena and you noted, to push this virtual nomination, which is a factor that they need because Biden needs to be nominated prior to the Democratic convention to get on the ballot in certain states like Ohio because of a fluke in those states' laws. That was not a win for Joe Biden today. That was potentially a win for the Get Biden off the ticket crowd because it gives them more time to circle the wagons and organize. There was a concern amongst some Democratic lawmakers who do not want Biden as the nominee that perhaps the Democratic Party would move to officially nominate him pretty soon, towards the end of this month, and kind of take the wind out of the sails of the get Biden off the ticket crowd. That has not happened. They're now going to do this in August. So there is still time, some of those Democrats who don't want Biden on the ticket tell me, to potentially move him off the ticket. One more thing of note here. On Saturday, after the events of that assassination attempt on former President Trump, I talked to House Democrats who maybe do not want Biden as the nominee, who said, look, they viewed their movement to get him off the ticket as on pause. Some viewed it as over because the political environment had totally changed for them. Now, with this Adam Schiff statement out today, some of them are rethinking whether or not they're going to come out publicly and try to again push Biden off of the ticket. All of that to say that this news of testing positive for COVID, when the president really needs to be out there, when the White House wants him campaigning, making speeches, saying to those critics that he can be active, be on the campaign trail, be unscripted, it could not come at a worse time.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're hearing from all the analysts that he needs to be making many public appearances as possible. He needs to be taking questions. And what we saw yesterday certainly was a public appearance, but there weren't any questions asked. And he's trying to speak to crucial voting blocks that he needs to not only win this election, but to win the favor of his own party. As Jay pointed out, many of them are asking him to step down and pass the torch right now. I do want to share with you that, again, he was going to speak at this Unidos U.S. event in Nevada, and that was something that he had to postpone because he had COVID. These are live images of President Biden in Las Vegas. You saw him just sort of giving the thumbs up right there. So again, he has tested positive for COVID. They say he had a runny nose, that he was not feeling well early today. Oh, and he's going up those steps. It looked like he paused there just a moment, didn't it, on those bottom steps. There he is, making his way up to the steps, all the way into the plane. A bit of a shuffle there at the end. Listen, this is deeply concerning for a lot of people that are watching, and it's not just deeply concerning for the campaign, but it's deeply concerning for the man as well.